Rome, 195 AD. Gaius Cornelius Marcellus stands in the forum holding 300 gold aurei. 42 years old, textile merchant, third generation. His father left a workshop, 6 looms, reputation. Gaius built something larger. 2 rental properties in Subura, contracts with 3 patrician families, savings equal 8 years comfortable living. Enough to educate sons, secure daughter's dowry, retire with dignity. He trusts these coins. Rome maintained the aureus at consistent purity for 2 centuries. The denarius reliable almost as long. His grandfather told stories of chaos before Augustus. Civil wars, warlords, currency changing with every general who seized power. That's over. Rome is permanent, currency stable, system works. Gaius purchases another property, apartment building generating rental income. Wife Livia says he's too cautious. Gaius says he's building security, for family, for sons who'll inherit foundation he never had. 25 years later, Gaius is 67, standing in same forum holding nothing. Coins gone, properties gone. Workshop sold last month for fraction of value just to buy food. Oldest son left for countryside 3 years ago, hasn't written. Daughter married poorly from desperation when dowry evaporated. Youngest son works docks, day laborer. Livia died 2 winters ago, pneumonia to fever. Couldn't afford physician. Gaius doesn't understand. He did everything right, saved diligently, invested in productive property, maintained client relationships, honored every contract. Over 2 decades, everything dissolved. Not crash, not single disaster. Slowly, invisibly, like water evaporating from cup left in sun until you notice it's empty and can't remember when it happened. This is the story of the 98% wealth loss nobody saw coming. Not Weimar merchant watching wheelbarrows of cash buy bread. Not Venezuelan family watching Bolivar become worthless real time. Roman middle-class family living through longest, slowest, most thoroughly documented currency collapse in Western history. The mechanism that destroyed them is same mechanism operating in your economy right now. Let me show you what happened to Gaius year by year, asset by asset, decision by decision. Because lesson isn't that currency collapse happens. Lesson is it happens so gradually people living through it keep trusting system until long after system stopped being trustworthy. Year 195. Gaius's total wealth, calculated in gold aurei, equals 300 coins. Rental properties generate 40 aurei annually. Workshop produces 60 through contracts and direct sales. Total income 100, lives on 60, saves 40. His father's discipline, denarius, Rome's silver coin for daily transactions, is 60% pure silver, declining slowly for decades, but most don't notice because prices adjust gradually. Gold aureus stable. Gaius holds mostly gold. Prudent. Year 205. Decade passes. Gaius 52. Wealth grown to 420 through savings and property appreciation. Denarius now 50% silver. Daily goods prices up 20%. Gaius notices. Customers complain. Manageable. Economy functions. Trade routes secure. Contracts with patricians remain profitable. Raises prices slightly to compensate. Life continues. Year 215. Gaius 62. Emperor Caracalla debased denarius further for military spending, now 40% silver. Prices doubled since Gaius was 40. Here's what matters. Rental income paid in denarii. Tenant agreements written 15 years ago at fixed denarius amounts. When signed, 100 denarii monthly had real value. Now, because denarius debased, same 100 buys significantly less. Can't raise rents easily. Tenant protections, social pressure, income fixed in currency losing value. Meanwhile, property maintenance costs, paid in increasingly debased denarii, rising. Coins received as rent buy less food, fewer materials, less labor, earning same number of coins but they purchase less every year. Invisible transfer. Gaius still sees 100 denarii arriving monthly. Number hasn't changed, but purchasing power has. Because gradual, doesn't panic, adjusts household spending, tightens expenses, assumes temporary. Year 225. Crisis of 3rd century approaching but hasn't fully arrived. Denarius 30% silver. Gaius's savings split between gold and silver. Gold holding value. Silver denarii. 40% of savings because easier for daily use, lost half their purchasing power. same number, half the purchasing. Gaius decides, converts more wealth into property, real assets. Buildings can't be debased, rational. Many Romans doing same. Property prices rise. Gaius pays premium because everyone with savings fleeing currency into real estate. Year 235. Crisis of 3rd century begins. Over next 50 years, more than 50 men claim title of emperor. Average reign under 2 years. Military commanders proclaimed by troops. Each new emperor faces identical problem, needs money immediately to pay soldiers accession bonus. Solution always same, debase currency. Denarius collapses from 30% silver to under 5 in single generation. Gaius's rental income, still paid in denarii at rates fixed by decades-old contracts, becomes nearly worthless. Coins still arrive, same number, but month's rent that once bought week of food now buys single day's bread. Cascade begins. Gaius's tenants paying in debased currency, effectively paying nothing, but his costs, taxes, maintenance, rising with inflation, losing money on properties supposed to generate income, tries to sell, everyone trying to sell. Property values denominated in collapsing currency, chaotic. Building worth 200 aurei 5 years ago might sell for 3,000 denarii today, but those 3,000 worth less than 50 aurei in real terms. Math impossible to track. Prices change faster than people can calculate value. Gaius sells one property at what seems good price in denarii. By time he buys food with proceeds, prices risen again, lost value in transaction without understanding how. Year 250, Gaius's wealth, measured in real purchasing power, declined to 60 aurei equivalent. Still owns property, still has coins, but purchasing power gone, workshop struggling, patrician families who were clients facing own financial pressures, canceling contracts, trade routes becoming dangerous, imperial stability collapsing, market for high-quality textiles shrinking. Gaius 75 now, too old to adapt, too invested in system that no longer functions, holds onto assets hoping for stabilization, doesn't come. Year 260. This is the year of the title. Denarius effectively worthless. Bronze core with thin silver wash that wears off within weeks. Gaius's savings in denarii gone, not stolen, not confiscated. Simply rendered valueless by systematic debasement. Properties can't generate income because rents paid in worthless currency and no buyers with real money. Workshop closed, sons gone, one dead in border war, one fled to farmland outside city, one working manual labor. Gaius calculates remaining wealth, in real terms, actual purchasing power compared to what he held at age 42, he has retained less than 2%, 98% gone. Not in crash, not in single event he can point to and say this is when it happened. Across 25 years of gradual, systematic, rational-seeming policy decisions made by dozens of emperors who all faced same problem. Not enough revenue, too many expenses, print more money. Here's what Gaius didn't see. Debasement starting under Nero 64 AD as minor adjustment was door that would never close. Each emperor promising to maintain currency would debase further when fiscal pressure mounted. Rental income fixed in denarii was trap, number stayed same while value evaporated. Property only valuable if generates real income or can be sold for real value. When currency collapses, property values denominated in that currency become meaningless. Holding savings in official currency of empire running permanent deficits was bet that empire would maintain discipline. And discipline in history of empires is always first thing to go. What Gaius saw was gradual change, prices rising, economic stress, political instability, but never single moment that screamed run. By time collapse undeniable, too late. His wealth denominated in assets that depended on system remaining functional. When system failed, assets failed with it. Forensic record shows exactly what went to zero. Cash savings held in denarii, total loss. By 268 AD, silver content of denarius fallen to half of 1%. Roman holding 100 denarii from year 200 would find those coins bought almost nothing 70 years later. Fixed rental income denominated in denarii, effective total loss. Landlords receiving same number of coins saw purchasing power decline 98% as currency collapsed. Property values in collapsing currency, severe loss. Real estate maintained some value, far less than owners expected. When everyone tries to sell simultaneously into currency crisis, prices collapse even for hard assets. Government contracts and pensions paid in denarii, total loss. Anyone depending on fixed payments from state-watched income become worthless. Corporate bonds or private debt denominated in denarii, total loss. Being creditor in collapsing currency means being repaid in worthless paper. Common thread: every asset that depended on currency maintaining value or system remaining functional was destroyed. 98% loss wasn't theft, it was systemic value evaporation. What survived? Physical gold held outside system. Romans who converted to gold early and held through crisis maintained purchasing power. When Diocletian stabilized currency in 294 AD with gold solidas, those holding gold came out whole. Productive land under direct control. Large landowners who could grow food and operate independently of currency-based trade survived. Self-sufficiency was insurance. Practical skills that generated value locally. Craftsmen, physicians, farmers, people whose value was in what they could do, not what they owned in currency terms. Survivors weren't wealthiest. They were ones who understood what money actually is. Claim on future productivity. When claim becomes unreliable, asset is productivity itself. Contemporary parallels: United States national debt $38 trillion. Annual interest payments exceed $1.2 trillion. Federal Reserve expanded balance sheet from $4.2 trillion to $9 trillion in 2 years. M2 money supply jumped 25% in 2020. Not secrets, public numbers. Central banks globally buying gold at fastest pace in 50 years. Poland, remembering Weimar, targeting 20% of reserves in physical metal. Not conspiracy, pattern recognition. Rome didn't collapse in a day. Took 2 centuries of accumulated decisions. Each emperor faced fiscal pressure. Each chose easy path, debase slightly, pay today's bills, let successor handle inflation. Successor faced same pressure, made same choice, degradation compounded. And middle class people like Gaius, who did everything right by rules they were taught, were destroyed so slowly they never knew when to run. Lesson from 260 AD is not that collapse inevitable. Lesson is collapse gradual. People living through it keep trusting institutions long after those institutions stopped being trustworthy. Wealth denominated in debasing currency evaporates invisibly. By time crisis obvious, too late to reposition. Gaius stood in forum at 42 holding 300 gold aurei in future. Stood in same forum at 67 holding nothing and no explanation. Coins looked same, buildings still standing, but value drained away across 25 years of small, reasonable-sounding adjustments. 98% gone. Not stolen, not confiscated, evaporated. And nobody saw it coming because came so slowly that each year felt normal compared to last, until one day wasn't. And by then, wealth was gone. Subscribe to Independent Financial Historian. This channel examines what happens so you read pattern before it repeats. Drop 98 in comments if you're watching currency more closely now. Question isn't whether your currency will be debased. Question is whether you'll reposition before coins in hand become lighter. The lesson Gaius learned too late was that the system's promises only hold value when the system maintains discipline. When fiscal pressure mounts, discipline evaporates. Every emperor before him proved this pattern. Every future crisis will prove it again. The 98% loss happened not because Gaius made one catastrophic mistake. It happened because he trusted a system that was slowly, systematically, predictably betraying that trust across decades. His savings, his property income, his workshop, his children's future, all